Welcome to another episode of the Agency Success GPS podcast. My name is Goff and I will be your host. Very excited about our guest today, Clate, who's the CEO and founder of Infusionsoft. A lot of you, I'm sure, have heard of him. We discuss the third gold rush and how the sociological shift around digital being the business saving tool instead of the business killing tool in the pragmatic and conservative business owners mindset after COVID. If you haven't noticed, there's been a major shift, a major sociological shift around digital being the solution to keep from losing a ton of money in case something like this happens. So in this episode, we discuss that, and we also discuss how you can leverage this to become the business hero for your clients and create raving fans with extremely high profit margins, utilizing automation and, of course, my productization pricing model. Hope you enjoy the episode. Have a good day. Clate, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I really appreciate it. I know you're super busy, and I appreciate you taking the time out. So,
yeah, you bet. Great to be with you. Thank you.
Okay, well, do me I did a quick intro right before this, but do me a quick favor and do a 30-second, do your elevator pitch and quick overview.
You know, we help small businesses grow by automating their sales and marketing. It's a tough thing to be an entrepreneur and build a business successfully, and you need systems to do that. And specifically, you need a good way to follow up and stop dropping the ball with your customers and your prospects. And what Keep does is gives entrepreneurs the all-in-one system that they need to develop relationships with their clients, grow their sales, and most of all, save time with automation.
And I'm a living witness and testimonial to that. I built my agency on your platform, right? So as you well know, okay. And so,
right.
Again, just thank you so much for taking the time out. I know you're super busy, and you already know I'm a disciple. So I absolutely love Keep and Infusionsoft. And today we've got some really good questions. We kind of, just to get the audience up to speed, we met the other day to kind of pre-frame this and make sure we get the right topics to make sure we're bringing the most value to the audience here. And I'm super excited about the questions, especially the third one, but I'm not going to give it away. Okay. So the first one is going to be around limiting beliefs. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about how people, the first question is around limiting beliefs and how people had fear around automation, and they have fear around growing businesses and how things kind of get in their way. I call it head trash or limiting beliefs. Yep. Specifically, what we discussed the other day is we discussed fear around automation and how business owners have been slow to adopt the digital automation and cloud-based solutions to improve their business operations. And I think we both agreed that with the COVID, a lot of that fear has kind of been lifted out of sheer, pretty much we've been kind of forced to fall in love with necessity out of like Zoom and everything else.
That's right.
So fire away, man. I would love to hear your feedback on that. How do you think this is going to impact that? And how do you think limiting beliefs help or hurt business owners out there? So?
Yeah, I think first of all, you're exactly right. There's a lot of entrepreneurs have just had a little bit of a block sometimes around getting into technology and putting automation in place. Sometimes that's because they want to make sure that they have a personal touch in their business and they don't lose that the personal touch is what makes their business them. It's what enables them to really connect and differentiates them from a bigger business. And so I think sometimes they've had the sense that, oh shoot, if I put automation in place, I lose that. Other times it's just been, I don't have time to go figure that out, or it's too complicated. But what we've seen over the last couple of years is more and more of a shift. And I think what's happening with COVID is it's really just sort of jolting people into the fact, I got to make a change. I got to do this. They've kind of known, it's been at the back of their mind, I really need to be putting this kind of technology into place. And that's why we've seen sales go up during this period of time. I think a lot of people are saying, with good reason, how are we going to work our way through COVID-19? But I think that entrepreneurs they've had this feeling for a long time that they need to be doing this, and that's why our sales are up. And they're not up like Zoom sales are up, but they are definitely up, and I think it's a result of that.
I don't think anybody's sales are up like Zoom or Amazon's right now. Let's keep it in context. And the example you gave the other day, I thought was absolutely brilliant. It was about when you first launched Infusionsoft, going back, a little bit, but when you first launched it, there was a fear around this online period. This goes back to 2003, 4, 5, 6, I think. And the example you gave was online banking, how people all of a sudden became very comfortable with online banking. And as a result, people became more comfortable with putting a little more sensitive data in the cloud. And you kind of saw a bump in growth around that.
Yeah, it was so clear to me. You know, it was the early stages of our business, and we were asking people to do a cloud-based CRM solution. You know, we called it web-based back then. But
I was going to say the cloud didn't even exist then, right?
Yeah, that's right. And so we said, hey, you're going to log in and get your customer data, and then the concern around that, security concerns and the lack of control around the data was just like, I can't put my valuable customer data online. I just can't do that. And then over the course of about 18 to 24 months, personal online banking, and it just completely shifted the psychology of the prospects and customers we were talking to. And suddenly everybody was fine putting their data online. I think it sometimes takes a sociological shift like that in society for people to have that comfort level. And I think what is happening right now is absolutely adjusting the sociology that is behind automation and technology. And I think people are recognizing, I've got to do more online. I've got to do more with less. I've got to put automation in place. And it's just no longer it can no longer be okay that I'm a little bit uncomfortable with it. It's like, no, let's do this.
Well, and the other day when we were talking about this, one of the examples that we gave is, one of that we discussed, it was like, all of the entrepreneurs who are kind of the conservative pragmatic type, a lot of them are kind of in their 45, 50 and above. And truth is, they just never needed the cloud. They just never needed it. They have a $5 million or a $2 million or a $32 million bill, and it's running just fine off of Excel spreadsheets and Outlook, right? So they just never, right. There was never a pain point there for them. Well, that pain point is now there. It is definitely there. So there's not a CEO on the planet, in my opinion, worth their salt, that's not looking at a way to mitigate that potential loss going forward. It's our job as CEOs to make sure we don't get hit by silver bullets. We're not going to get hit with, employee morale, labor laws, IRS. Yeah. There are certain things as a CEO you just got to stay on top of to make sure you don't get hit in the face with these things. Granted, nobody can plan for a pandemic, so nobody's at fault here. But going forward, if you have not adjusted and attempted to at least mitigate the loss, if you're losing 60% now, try to get that to 30, right? And I just don't see how there's a CEO on the planet worth their salt that's not looking at that aggressively. So I think the simple example.
I think it's a great example. There's no doubt. I mean, in my conversations I'm having with different business leaders across industries, everybody is looking at their business with new lenses. Everybody is recognizing that things are different. I've got to look at things differently. And when you consider what's happening with technology and the movement online, I mean, we are going to see massive changes in entrenched industries like healthcare and education. These have been long untouchable industries. Everybody's known you need to do more online in education. Everybody's known you need to do more with telemedicine. Everybody has known you need, but very few people have been doing it. That's about to shift, and it's going to shift in a dramatic way, in part because consumers are going to become very comfortable with accessing services online, in part because providers of those services are going to recognize, wow, this is way more efficient for us to do it this way. I don't have to jump on planes. I don't have to go invest as much time in our people. I can get online and do this stuff. Now, there's still going to be needs for personal in-person experiences, but anybody who believes that we're going to go back to exactly the way things were before in terms of the way services are delivered is kidding themselves, because what's happened is a whole mass of people have now become comfortable with the notion of online service exchange. And that means that the business owners are going to have to facilitate that. Now, what does all that mean? Your clients, the marketing agencies of the world, are about to hit the jackpot. Because,
are you kidding? I've been talking about this. I'm calling it the third gold rush. I don't know what else to call it. I'm calling it the third gold rush. The .com, obviously, I don't know what, 97 to like 2002, 3, when it really just kind of boom. It was like, everybody's like,
You're
what is
exactly right.
this?
In fact,
Yeah.
you stop and think about this. So a little background here, and you and I haven't talked about that. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but what happened was in the .com craze, that was Web 1.0. It was, you're just starting to get websites. People were, hey, look at my cat online. It was like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I worked for a software.
Was it Front Page? I think, remember, was it Front Page?
There was GeoCities. There was I actually worked for a software company out of graduate school called Free Servers, and we provided free websites to anybody and everybody with some little website tools. But that was the first stage of it. The second stage was you started to have real commerce that was conducted. You started to have people transacting online in massive ways, and obviously Amazon took off during this time. But that was all the second phase. The third phase that's about to happen is mainstream everyday services, education, healthcare, services that we engage in with our attorneys, our CPAs, our doctors, any type. That's all going to begin to move more online. Mm-hmm. And what that means is those business owners, many of whom they're small businesses, they're entrepreneurs, they're going to start recognizing I've got to have I got to have someone who helps me do my online business work. It's no longer going to be like, I got a guy who can do a little bit for me here and there.
Yeah.
It's
no longer your cousin in the basement. It's not your cousin,
right.
cousin in the basement.
Owner, I've got a CPA, I've got an attorney, and I've got a growth expert that helps me to do my stuff online. That we're going to see that, and I think the savvy marketing agencies, the savvy marketing consultants and experts are going to recognize that. They're going to start to position their services a little differently to feed into this change in society that has occurred, and the fact that, hey, you got to do more online, you got to do more with automation, you got to do more with less. And I've got the team to help you do that.
And that actually, I'll tell you what, this is a perfect segue into the next question. I'm going to wrap up this question here really quick, just to kind of bring this home. If you're looking for a really simple example of how this is going to impact your agency out there, think of everybody who's had a brochure and they're kind of like, oh, we only do a brochure kind of business. They feel like they almost are obligated to do that kind of thing. All of the people who have that little post, the little business card kind of brochure website, that's all going to graduate into a simple, membership site. And that membership site could be for accounting record. It can be for a million different reasons, right? And for the people who just never did anything, they might have had a Google My Business account, maybe. They're going to start looking aggressively at driving leads, Facebook. There's going to be a million different ways that this is going to manifest itself. And actually, again, that kind of leads me straight into part 2 here. Change begins at the end of your comfort zone, right? Okay, so we all know that, and I think everybody's been, the comfort zone has been kind of putting the can in.
Just changed.
It just changed, right, in a big way. Okay, so I really do think, right? I think regardless of age, digital is now being seen as a business saving technology, not a pain in my ass technology. So let's just talk about a few things. Yeah,
Lee, that's what I was getting at with the, you stop and think about that. I talked to our partners who are marketing agencies, and I go to different partner events, and I was at one in February, and I was talking to a group of partners, and they were lamenting the fact that the client is predisposed to sort of question every line item on their bill, everything that they're delivering for the customer. And one of the partners said it perfectly. He said, my client will pay his CPA to do all these things, and it's no big deal. It's just accepted that you have a CPA in your business. It's a cost of doing business. It's something that you understand. And yet here I am, says this partner, bringing him growth in his business, bringing him the ability to actually transact more, do more, and I'm getting nitpicked on every little thing I do, and they're questioning me. Well, what's the hourly rate on everything? And I just think what's happened to this point is marketing agencies have started to get a place inside of the business leader's mind,
like that conservative, pragmatic little bubble there. Starting
but
to
it's
get a
not
foothold
fully
there
yet, right? We're not fully there where it's like I've got an attorney, I've got my CPA, and I've got my agency that helps me to grow. And I think that's what's going to start to happen, because there's too much complexity. There's too much for the business owner to take on and figure out themselves. That's why they go get a CPA, because there's too much complexity for them to. Well, likewise, there's too much for them to go figure out with their attorney. It's also the case with online marketing. It's the case with digital marketing. It's the case with putting programs online in whatever way that is, whether it's just designing the collateral, or whether it's figuring out AdWords, or whether it's building a landing page. All of those things require some complexity and some understanding, some expertise.
Yeah.
And we're getting to a point. I believe that what's going to happen is COVID-19 is going to push this more into the mainstream understanding of business owners and CEOs, that you need an agency to help you, just like you need your law firm and you need your CPA.
Yeah, and also to add to that, out in the agency space, freelancers have been taking a big chunk out of some of the just billable hours. Also, I'm very, very firmly convinced, and I'm seeing it out there, that the freelancer market's going to contract because, well, they were kind of sold a bill of goods that probably didn't turn out to be exactly accurate. But most importantly is, I personally think that as we lean into the pragmatic and conservative business owners, and in case you don't know, there's a growth curve for the type of business owners out there. You got your early adopter, you got your early adopter, your techno guy,
early adopter,
then the early adopter. You got the chasm, you got the pragmatic conservative, and then there's another one that I'm missing. So anyway, point being is, what's that? Laggards, that's the one. Okay, thank you very much. So we've crossed the chasm, and it's been slow going to get into that damn.
Yeah.
It's been slow going, an uphill fight. I've been wondering, why hasn't it just gone gangbusters? I know what marketing automation, and combined with not just marketing automation and just a CRM, but the combination of the two. Okay, that's the key there, right? And that's actually where you really separate yourself as a platform, just heads and shoulders. I don't think anybody needs me to endorse them for you, so they already know it. But just in case, it is. And so I'm sorry, Keep. I'm OG.
No, you're fine.
I've been around so long, it's just muscle memory kicking it out there.
It's fine. Infusionsoft is the high-end edition of our Keep product line. It's perfectly fine to refer to it that way.
Good. And I really do believe that it's been slow going to get into that pragmatic and conservative side of things. And just to let everybody out there know, that's where the big money is. Okay, that's where the SAPs and the Salesforce and Oracles, that's where they all play. That's where the big money is. And so we're just now getting into that. Another thing is, those people are not going to be going out and hiring an individual freelancer. They're going to be looking for a full-fledged agency with strategic guidance, leadership, thought leadership, execution, everything. They're going to be looking for a full-service agency. They're probably going to be looking for an agency that's actually specialized in what they do, niched out in whatever that might be. Okay. And is there anything you'd like to add to that before we go on to the next? This I've been waiting.
No, I think it's a great discussion, and that's we really just covered the point that you and I were discussing, which is there's a pot of gold here for the marketing agencies that get it, for the marketing consultancies that are coming together and recognizing what's happening. And I think I've talked to a bunch of because our partners are very similar to your agencies you work with, and some of the partners I see are totally getting it, and they're going, oh wow, COVID has just set the landscape for us to be able to go and take our services out to businesses in a more mainstream way. Some aren't getting it, some are, and understandably there's fear, there's concern, when, like you've said it perfectly, when you get out of the comfort zone, you got to change. Well, that's scary for people. But others are starting to see it. And the more entrepreneurial, early adapting type, I say early adapting, not just early adopting, but they adapt quickly, right? Those are the agencies.
I'm still in that, so yeah.
Those are the agencies that are seeing what's possible here. And so I think we've had a good discussion here. Hopefully this is opening up people's minds and helping people get really excited about the fact that this next stage of the economy that we're going into is reliant upon good agencies.
It's a business good. It is the business savior technology. That's probably a little bit business saving. Savior might not be the right word. Business saving technology, and it really has, though, for the past couple of months, it's been to a large degree saving hundreds of thousands of businesses. I mean, it's hard. Nobody obviously will ever be able to put a number to that, but I don't think it's an understatement to state that the interwebs or the cloud or whatever you want to call it has really been. I take a good at school, homeschooling my daughter. Okay, she ended up with 4 A's and a B. Thank goodness. I was worried because
That's
I am
great.
not I'm not a home. I mean, I'm a coach, which is different than teaching, by the way. That's actually two different things. But I'm very, coach is like push, push, push. Teaching is like knowing when to push and pull. It's a much more it's this different kind of relationship. So
Yeah.
I've been stressing a little bit about the grades, but her teachers, man, they stepped up. Individual Zoom calls for them, Zoom classes. They just really it was impressive to see how cloud-based technology kind of came to save the day. Right?
Yeah.
It was wonderful. And I'm going to end on a quick little story. In 2008, I'm sure you've never heard this, but in 2008, at this point in the growth of Get You Wired, we were really a chop shop. All we did was like Joomla. We just did a whole lot of programming and engineering. And personally, I'm not a technical guy. I was miserable. I didn't like the built company I had built. Hated it, actually. Couldn't stand it. And so what I would wind up doing is I wound up in the end of September, I made the strategic decision that I'm gutting the entire company, top to bottom. When I say gutted, I mean the direction, not the employees. I'll make sure everybody understands that. So I switched and I said, listen, we're going to become a marketing agency that just so happened websites will be a part of it, but we're not getting into this major app coding, custom coding crap. I can't stand it. That's actually when I was introduced to Colin Dameud, and he brought me on as a strategic alliance or partner. I can't I think it was his strategic alliance, I think is what if I remember right. And that began the whole journey of, at that point, I think it was a little shy of $500,000 in revenue. Jump ahead. I'm not going to get into specifics. Jump ahead just a few years, and we'd doubled, maybe even almost triple. I mean, we catapulted up because in 2008, as we all know, what led me to this is the financial markets crashed. And I made a rookie mistake. I only had one really great lead source and two small lead sources. Well, that one great lead source was owned by a guy that had over leveraged himself in real estate. And so he went belly up and all of my leads dried up. And I mean, in a matter of 30 days, 70% of my leads dried up like that. 10 employees. And I'm sitting there going like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do that? How am I going to make payroll? How am I going to do this? Right. And so that's when I made the strategic decision. And I went and I told everybody, listen, that's when Melissa and Bobby, that's when they were literally, they had just gotten hired on. They were the youngest, I think a few months or whatever. And I told them, this is what we're going to do. Anybody else that wants to stay, y'all can stay. But out of all those people, those were the only two that stayed long-term. They became leaders. We grew it into a massive, a very respectable, nice size marketing agency. But if it wouldn't have been for me getting very much taken out of my comfort zone, very much, and having to really do internal soul searching, like looking, how did I end up here? Do I like where I'm at? And is this where I want to be in 20 years? Right. And if it had not been for that whole financial situation kind of bottoming out right there, I would have just kept going, because we do get into that kind of warrior plow through it kind of mindset. And this is one of those moments. And it's not just for the financial, it's for global, everybody. And so the third gold rush is coming. Get ready for it. And the third question is how you can prepare for it and how you can really capitalize on it. So that'll lead me into this. Is there anything you'd like to add to that? Or
no, I think you said it really well. I totally agree with you. And the savvy agencies are about to have a really great time over the next few years.
They are. And first piece of advice is raise your prices by 20%. Can't get into bad. Got to have the money to grow, and you don't want to get bad clients. And by raising your prices 20%, will eliminate both of those. So, all right. True. Question number 3: how to leverage automation and productization. We discussed this the other day to be the hero for your clients and your bank accounts. Okay. Build it once and sell it 1,000 times. For example, you can build out a few campaigns that service a specific niche and sell them to different providers across the globe. So give me just 1 second to kind of frame this a little bit better.
Sure.
In Infusionsoft and Keep, what a lot of people might not know is that they have what's called a partner edition. It's kind of a behind the scenes thing. Unless you're a partner, you would never know this. I don't think you really advertise. If you do advertise it, I don't see it a whole lot. And so one of the things you need to know is that in this what's called partner edition, sandbox/partner edition, you can write out generic. I wish I could share a screen. I'll show them exactly how it works. You can build out a campaign. And so let's just say hypothetically, cart abandonment campaign for Leatherman's. Okay. I don't care, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Refer a friend campaigns, nurturing campaigns, funny holiday campaigns. I don't care, whatever it is. And it's specific to your industry. You build that once in your partner edition, and then you can sell it 1,000 times.
Yep.
So having the right partners and the ability to kind of productize things, utilizing automation and the CRM as the hub, in my opinion, and we discussed this the other day, it's going to make you the hero.
That's right.
It really is going to make you the hero for your clients. And so now that I've kind of framed that, kind of, what are your thoughts about how you can productize utilizing specifically Infusionsoft and Keep and become the hero here?
Yeah, what I see is it's all about marketing agencies creating their specialization.
Yep.
Creating their specialty, specializing in a particular niche, or might even be in a particular geography. But what you have to do is create something that's going to appeal to more than one client. When this is the challenge of service providers, whatever service we're in, we love the personal touch, and we tend to create something that's so specialized that it only applies to one client. And when we do that, the client will love it. By the way, they'll never appreciate everything you've put into it to make it what it is.
Never. They think it really is clicking a button. They literally legitimately think it's clicking a button.
And so you put all of your time and energy into your craft, and you make this great thing for that one client, and it's totally customized. But your profit margin on that is so difficult, and you can't replicate what you've done. And so you're always in the business of recreating the wheel. Well, every experienced service provider knows, gosh, if I could just reuse 50% of what I did, or that type of thing. And so good agencies start to do this. They start to have tools in their tool belt, toolkit, and they don't have to recreate everything from scratch. But if you think about the leverage you start to get and the profit margin you start to get when you do that, what you've just described, Lee, is something you can take to a whole new level. Now you can literally build out, using our campaign builder and our partner edition, you can build out an automated program, an automated process, a campaign where you provide that to a client, and you can literally click a button and replicate it, and then go in and make a few adjustments for the next client.
Yep.
And this is where you start to get some great profit, because you now are in the business of not having just services, but you now have productized that service and turned it into something where 90% of it is reusable. In some cases, it's 100%. You can literally have it completely a turnkey campaign that you offer to, every orthodontist that does teeth whitening or whatever. You can get really specialized in what it is that you offer. So what we see our very successful marketing agency partners doing is creating campaigns that have a broader use case where they can provide it to a lot of people, and they're able to sell that, and now they have products they're selling, and they're not just trading hours for dollars.
You hit the nail on the head. I want to kind of just add to you were saying about whenever you do something super specialized, and then it's so specialized that you can't really repackage it or do it, you pretty much kind of go back to zero. I use that analogy all the time. Whenever you're a bespoke or a custom agency or a jack of all trades type agency, and you go out there and you hire a CPA hires you, you go out and you do all the keyword research, you build out websites, you write the copy, all that fun stuff. And then you get done with that and an attorney hires you. You literally, I'm not kidding you, literally go back to first base, first inning, you go straight back to zero and start all over. Now, whenever you serve nothing but CPAs and you build out a website, okay, well, you can now take that and you leverage a lot of that, the infrastructure, okay, or like the back end of the website, reskin it, or in an automation campaign, corporate taxes are typically due September, okay, individual April, so you can have little reminders. A million little different ways you can go about doing it. But the most important thing is that whenever you establish a vertical or a niche or a specific direction to sell your agency, at that point, it allows you to build upon it. And that really is the key, is every time you build something, you're adding another step to the success ladder. And eventually you'll get high enough up to where you actually achieve the success you're looking for. But if you're not adding another step to that success ladder, then you just go straight back and you're just, all you ever focus on is just building a damn ladder. You never actually get the ladder to the goal. Hopefully that made sense anyway. But, and then the second point I would put in there is that whenever you are focusing on building a product line, something magical happens. You were talking about profit a while ago and swapping time for money. Is custom, that's what you're going to do. You're going to be stuck in that role. You will swap out time for money until the day you die. You will at best get a 22 to about a 34% profit margin at best. Okay, that is if you're really, 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 really squeezing profit.
Yeah, that's really good. Mm-hmm.
If you're really squeezing and you run really streamlined operations, you might get over 30, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it's unbelievably rare. Typically 22 to 25% max is what you're gonna run. Now, in a productized model, two things happen. You get value-based pricing, okay? And you get to deliver overwhelming value every single time because you get to optimize the product. So every time you build a website, you're like, well, wait a second, this would be kind of cool if I add this in there. It doesn't take you now, it's in the sandbox. Every time you unzip that sandbox, that cool feature's in there, but it adds tremendous value, but it does not take any additional time of your own. So therefore, every time you deliver that product, you're optimizing it to get better, to deliver more value, and you're optimizing the deliver so it takes less time. So the value the client receives goes up, the time you have to put into it goes down, and guess what happens whenever that formula happens? Now you're getting into that 40, 45, 50, and if you're really lucky, 52 to 54 profit margin. And you've got raving fans going like, are you kidding me? Clate is the bomb. They're just raving about you getting more referrals. So you can see when you really get those two things right, okay, you're building it to get better all the time. You're at the same time increasing profit and getting more referrals. It's not rocket science to see how that is going to blow your business up.
Yeah, let me tell you the other thing that happens. I completely agree with everything you've said. And the profit margin is really important. What I've found is the peace of mind for the entrepreneur, the business owner is even more, because what usually is occurring when you're running an agency and you're having to do custom projects, and when that's your bread and butter, that's everything you're doing.
Yeah.
The deadlines, the pressure, the client demands, the customer service, the relationship issues that occur, that all tends to boil back, it all tends to go up to the business owner and having to solve those things, those problems. That becomes very stressful, and it becomes very burdensome to the business owner. And a lot of times it'll burn out an agency owner, because they just get so tired of the client management issues that come up when you're doing custom projects under deadlines again and again and again. When you flip to a more productized service, the way you've described, not only does your profit margin get better, but you've got time, you've got peace of mind. You don't have everything flowing back up to you, because you don't have to create. What happens when you're doing the custom is you're creating everything, and you're people who can do some of those projects during the creation, but you bump into questions that the business owner is having to constantly address. It makes it difficult to go on a vacation. It makes it difficult to go to your child's soccer game without.
Well, you can't train him. If you ask somebody to learn the entire digital industry, it's impossible. But if you ask them to learn about a specific product line, they can learn that in 2 weeks and address all the questions. It's not possible whenever they got to learn everything. And so, it makes employee training and everything so much easier. Stress goes away.
There's two ways we typically see our partners grow their agencies. One is they serve. One is that they charge higher prices and therefore tend to start to serve bigger clients. They get higher retainers and that sort of thing. And they're able to then make it work by hiring people to do that work. But the other way is they get specialized in an industry or in a niche, and they begin to productize. And what I've found is you can build a successful agency both ways, but the latter is a far more sustainable, enjoyable, longer term opportunity. And in many cases, you can have a very tight 1 to 3 person, 5 person agency, but you get very specialized, and the profit margins get really good, and the quality of life is a heck of a lot better.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, no doubt about it. Well, awesome. I want to let you know something. I don't know if you know this. And by the way, you were talking about the stress level. I had a major health issues. I don't know if you know this or not, but anyway, I had a major heart attack, right at the same time that I sold my agency, and the health issues actually started popping. I didn't know this at the time, but they actually started popping up about 3 years before, where I was extremely lethargic. Anyway, just kind of led to a lot of, and again, I didn't know it at the time. If that makes sense. It started with, you just kind of feel like pressure on your chest. It's not pain. It's just like almost like a little 2-pound brick sitting there all the time. It's like extra pressure. And so stress will get you, trust me. And so if you're feeling anything like that, you're going to have to take action, because if not, life it'll do it for you, whether you want it to or not. Okay. And so another thing I want to say to you is, and I think you know this, but I don't know if anyway, you're super busy. So whenever I was building my agency, there weren't any agency coaches out there, right? Nobody had done, hell, the digital agency didn't even exist at the time. There were web marketing, it didn't even exist.
Right.
And so thanks to you and J. Conrad Levinson and Jim Collins, of which you introduced me to, what we did is we went out to the Elite Forum and we took a lot of that, but we had to adapt it to the digital agency model because obviously it was built for SaaS and so it was a hell of a lot of work. Basically, what I'm saying, it probably took us 2.5 years to take everything you taught. It's a big 3. I think I still got it. Anyway, I got the big 3 ring binder, that you had the Elite Forum.
Oh yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, we were combing through that and okay, how does this work for us? And it took forever for us to figure it out. And so we finally figured it out. And that's my purpose now, is to make their lives easier, because it doesn't have to be as hard as it was whenever I was doing it. There wasn't a map, right? And so lean in there, get some help like that, productize, and figure out a way to really kind of niche yourself out, but get ready, because the ones who reload. So for example, right now, I've completely rebranded my entire company. I've completely revamped my product line. You're going to be episode 1 on my new podcast, and I've got 14 of those already recorded, a bunch of them already recorded. So I've been reloading here, and I've been suggesting that to all of my students. We got to reload. And that's what I would want to leave everybody with, is listen, now, before the tsunami of the gold rush is about to hit, the only question we don't have an answer to is when that's going to happen. It's going to depend on each local community as they start to kind of feel comfortable in coming out. And this is global. This is going to be a global gold rush, not just an individual. The first one was more United States, right? And then it kind of spread out, right? Mm-hmm. But this is global. So this is going to be a little bit bigger than anything that anybody out there's probably experienced, because the pragmatists, the conservatives, global, all going to be leaning into cloud-based technology. The more you can productize now, the more you think about it like right now, the more successful you're going to be over the next 10, 15, 20 years. And so I would just like to leave on that note. And Clate, not leave on that note. That'll be my final thought. And Clate, take us home.
I agree with everything you're saying. I think that this is going to be an exciting time for marketing agencies. And I think that it's going to happen as the entrepreneurial ones adapt and lean into the market and go offer their services and recognize that businesses need to do more online. They need to do more with less. They need to put automation into place, and the consumer and the landscape is primed for it. So, the thing that I would finish with is what we do. I have tremendous empathy for the entrepreneur who's trying to build a successful business and have a life. And I've experienced this. I've dealt with it with hundreds of thousands of businesses that I've spoken to, probably into the millions at this point. And I know the challenge. We get into business, we want freedom. And the reality is, as soon as you start to get customers and as soon as you start to have employees, the freedom is so elusive.
It's gone.
It's and yet that's why, we go into business so we can have more time, we can have more flexibility, we don't have to have a cap on how much we earn. That's why entrepreneurs go to get into business, and they want to go have an impact on their clients and on the world in a way that brings satisfaction and fulfillment to them. And I have such honor for and respect for these entrepreneurs who do this, who have the grit and the ambition to go make it work. The challenge is, it always seems like it's a trade-off between the time that I have and the dollars that I need or want to do certain things with my life and my family. Yeah. And that trade-off between time and money it's the tension that exists for entrepreneurs. It's always there. And the reason why I love doing what we do, and I have such passion for what we do, is that automation breaks that tension. Automation is the game changer for entrepreneurs. It's what enables them to have freedom and have a good business and a good life. You don't have to trade hours for dollars when you put automation in place. And so whether it's for the marketing agencies and the partners we work with and you work with, or whether it's the clients that we all serve, these entrepreneurs, all of us, want a successful business and a successful life. We want to have that freedom. And that is why automation is so powerful, because it makes it possible. Whereas without it, you always find yourself in the hours versus time dilemma, or hours versus dollars dilemma.
That is That's it. I don't have anything to add to that. That's perfect. That's exactly spot on right there. It really is a time, money issue. I have also noticed a major trend around quality of life businesses as opposed to just hardcore. I know in our generation growing up, it was warrior. You just fight, 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 fight.
Right.
You don't. There's no such thing as no. It just means you're not working hard enough kind of mentality. That's at least that's
Right.
the way I was raised. Right.
Yeah, a lot of us as entrepreneurs have that work ethic in us, and if we're not careful, we end up having regrets.
Yeah, definitely. I could do a whole other episode on that one, right? But you got to be well. I could, maybe not you, but I could. But definitely, and so very wise words there. It really is. It really does boil down to kind of multiplying yourself and getting the right systems in place and the right processes in place. And I recognized that early, and I leaned into the Infusionsoft community early. Again, part out of fear and necessity, and part out of like as soon as I got in the community, I was like, wait a second. If I'm in charge of the CRM and everything bolts to the CRM, that puts me in a very strategically advantageous position. Right. So then I leaned even heavier into the Infusionsoft community to where we started optimizing the marketplace, and we dominated the marketplace forever until everybody else kind of started figuring out what we were doing, right? Yep. And I'm not going to say anything more about that, you know what I'm saying? But we did a good job. We did a really good job with it, right? And then we got into the actual product side of things to where we were selling the different the automation packages for different name brands and stuff around the United States, right?
Yeah. Well, the other thing you guys did, though, I mean, yes, you did a good job in the marketplace, but you were delivering a good service. And, you know, I remember we'd bump into, you know, we'd have a client that was having a challenge, having a problem, and we'd need a good partner to refer them to. And you guys were top of mind. You know, I still think of King LASIK, right? I mean, that was like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. We're like, you guys got in there and you helped that LASIK surgery practice just totally revolutionize their business. And it was, you know, prior to you guys getting involved, they were having a really hard time with our software. I mean, this was about 10 years ago.
I think so. I think you're right. It was about, I think it was about 10 years ago. Yeah.
But you guys really did good work with a bunch of clients and helped them automate things. And then that put you top of mind with a lot of people inside the company that said, well, you know, let's get you wired work on that. That's what happened. I mean, you do good service and you do a good job promoting your service in the marketplace, and the word starts to spread.
Well, that's actually done very strategically, by the way. So we used to come out 3 or 4 days before Icon, and we'd bring donuts and buy. You know, all of that was done very strategically. Okay, you know, and
the entrepreneurial things.
Yeah, no, it worked great. There's nothing wrong with it. We're business development. It's called well hunting. I had a term for it. It's called well hunting. No. We're going to go after one person, like a Corey Snyder or a Clate Mask, or, you know, at the time Corey was overseeing pretty much, I think, all partner sales. So had to know Corey if you're going to get any kind of little, you know, slide ins or, you know, whatever. Funny story about King LASIK. I still tell that story. I call it my $1 million video. It's still on. I'm pretty sure it's still on Get You Wired's homepage. And you don't do video testimony. You don't do video endorsements for people that not that I've seen. You might do them now, but from what I can tell, you don't do them hardly ever, do you?
Not very often. Mm-mm.
Yeah. And how I got that, when Cindy Eager called me, she's like, Lee, you got a minute? And I said, sure. You know, so we started talking about King LASIK, and I was like, ooh, this is going to be a beast. This is going to be a beast. And she's like, well, but we need a really good discount because we're in Infusionsoft, right? Which is fair. You know, you've earned that right? I'm like, no problem. But when I do this right, I want to write a script. I want Clate to sit down in the professional studio, and I want him to read this script. And so I negotiated that up front. And Cindy was like, I don't know if I can do that or not. Hold on a second. So she ran over to your office and asked you, like, if he can keep them happy, no problem. I bet you thought we couldn't make them happy because I have to admit, what they were asking for, at first,
it was a hard job.
Dude, it was hard.
I had gotten on the phone with them and I was like, oh crap, man, this is a job what they're trying to do. And I love their vision of what they're trying to do, but it was a hard thing to go automate that.
Yeah.
And you guys, you know, and you did it with 10 years ago with the software back then versus what we have today. I mean, you guys did a great job and you earned it. And I do remember recording that video.
Yep. Scott Martineau got sucked into the same trap, by the way. That's how I got one from Scott. Got both of them on there anyway. All right. Anyway, whatever.
I love it.
It was good. It was good. So, okay, Clate, shameless plug moment. So here it is. You know, you got anything special, anything you want people to know? I'll tell them right now, and I advocate all the time to sign up in the partner community with Infusionsoft and Keep, just because 1, for the community, the 2, the productization, 3, the quality of small businesses you run into in the community there. That's one shameless plug for you on my behalf. So what you got?
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. You know, we've got, with the Keep product line now, we've got an amazing line where you can have our partners can take something as simple as our Keep Grow product, which is, you know, CRM and basic email marketing with a little bit of automation, up to Keep Pro that has the campaign builder and a lot of the bells and whistles of Infusionsoft, but really has a good simple interface. Or you can go all the way to Infusionsoft and have all of the bells and whistles, all of the capabilities, all of the powerful sales and marketing automation. We've got a product line now that really gives partners the ability to serve their clients effectively. And we've taken ease of use with Keep Pro to a place that I think was always kind of the knock on Infusionsoft. But, you know, I think we've got the product to help your marketing agencies be the hero for their customers. We've got a community of partners. You know, if people haven't ever been to our PartnerCon or our Icon events, you know, you're in for a really cool experience, and it's an amazing community. And the reason why we've got a great product and a great community is because we've got a vision for this company and the purpose that we have to help small businesses succeed, and the mission to simplify growth for millions of small businesses by the year 2030. And we're a mission-driven company, values-based, and as you know, you've been around it for a long time, and so we're kind of just getting ready to move into this new phase of our business, having built out the product line now. We went through some management changes and adjustments, and my co-founder and I are back at the helm and loving what we're doing. And so my shameless plug is really an invitation to come join our community. We've got an amazing partner community, and you'll find some of the best people who are helpful and encouraging and really good ideas on how to make your agency better. And I know you've got a great teacher in coach and a coach here in Lee, but I think you'll find a community that's incredible in Keep. So that's my shameless plug. I know you've got a great community as well, and just would encourage people to come be a part of Keep.
Well, it takes a village, right?
Yep.
You know, it truly does. And I don't care, raising kids, I don't care, whatever it is, it takes a village. And I will tell you right now, without your, I'm going to say, steadfast leadership around sticking to the purpose to help small business owners, and that I know where that comes from, and that comes directly from you and Scott. I know that you've had a lot of money thrown at you to shift that. Mm-hmm. You've had a lot of people come at you to shift that, and I've seen those over the past 12 years. This most recent one was a very interesting one because, you know, with the amount. Anyway, I still want to talk to you about that. We're not going to get into it now. I still want to
That's another podcast.
That's another podcast. Yeah, that's a totally other podcast. But I've seen it over the years, and I've seen your dedication and your passion to the small business owners, and you are leveling the playing field. Actually, I tell you what, you see that painting right there? I got Legos. Legos are actually part of my productization coaching thing. I'm not a weirdo that's like, but this right here, I don't know if you can see it or not. There's a gold string here, okay? And this is like the World Bank, and this is small business. And so my vision at Get You Wired in 2003 was to level the playing field between big business and small business. And my mom painted me that mixed media painting to reflect that. And that's what eventually, that's why I leaned in so much to Infusionsoft, because I was like, wait a second. They're doing the same they're saying it a little bit differently. Mine's not as defined as theirs, but that's exactly where my heart's at. That's exactly where my heart's at. And then the rest is history. You know, but it's kind of kept growing and kept going, and there it is. So, and I'm telling you right now, I could not have done it.
Keep serving, keep growing. That's the message.
That's it. So I love it. So, Clate, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your extremely busy day. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Lee. It's been great. Take care.
All right. Thanks. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you get to the next episode. Or you can check us out on Facebook at the Marketing Agency Success GPS Facebook group. It's a private group, so you'll have to ask for enrollment into that. And then, of course, you can check us out on YouTube. Lee Goff, your marketing agency coach. Everyone have a wonderful day.